Thanks, guys. We've got John Kingston, our editor-at-large, here with us for our first guest on FreightWaves Now this morning. John, welcome to the show. It's always great to see your face on Monday morning. I hope you had a good weekend as well.
It was okay. How was yours?
It was pretty good. Like Anthony said, it was a little rainy here in Chattanooga, but we got through it. We're talking all
I'm still.
about we're talking about
Go ahead.
rising oil prices this morning, John. Talk to me about what's going on when it comes to the oil market currently.
Well, since we talked last week I don't think we talked about oil, but there's been a lot going on. Really, quite frankly, the price of oil today is about where it was a week ago, but that doesn't mean that nothing happened because the fact is that it plummeted on Tuesday and then has slowly risen since. So why did it fall on Tuesday? So the OPEC Plus group, which is OPEC, as well as a group of major oil exporters that are not part of OPEC, but which fall under the leadership of Russia. They went in on Monday in a virtual meeting to agree to put more oil on the market. Everybody agrees that more oil is needed. That meeting collapsed because of some issues that are very kind of OPEC inside baseball that I really won't talk about because they're a little complicated. But so usually when an OPEC meeting collapses, that means that the market will go down because the assumption is that everybody will then go back and produce whatever they want. They're not governed by OPEC quotas or anything like that. In this case, if everybody went back and produced whatever they wanted, that's actually benefiting the consumer because that oil is needed. And so the fact is that there was this concern that because they couldn't agree to put 400,000 barrels a day on the market, that the market would shoot up. Well, the first reaction was to go down because they figured everybody would go home and produce more than the world needed, even though it needs more. And then everybody kind of sobered up and thought, well, you know what? I mean, are they going to stick to their quotas? Are they not going to put this 400,000 barrels a day on the market? And that's a problem. So the market plummeted on Tuesday. It made gains throughout the rest of the week to kind of get back to where they were. The DTS.USA price in Sonar, which is the national average retail diesel price, is up like a little bit from last week. Not a lot, but what that masks is the fact that underlying that number has been a lot of volatility in the oil market. And we're still not really sure what OPEC and OPEC Plus are going to do. So the fact is, you look at the numbers, and the world needs to add about 4 to 5 million barrels a day of output between now and the end of the year. That's quite a lot. And if OPEC can't agree on what to do and everybody goes home and just produces as much as they want, then we'll meet that goal. But the concern is that maybe somebody like Saudi Arabia might try to do all the discipline by itself by cutting production and restricting supply. So we're in a very unusual period because OPEC is a group that was designed to deal with glut. Right now, it's a group. Right now, it is an organization that is being called to deal with shortage, and that's not usually a position they're in. So, we're going to have to see how this plays out.
So, John, over the weekend, Zach Strickland put out an article talking about how rising diesel prices, really since November of last year, have kind of put this slow but very steady rise on spot rates and trucking rates overall. Talk to me a little bit about how the undulations when it comes to the oil market kind of play into this slow but steady rise of diesel prices, if they have any effect at all, and then how that translates into rising spot rates for trucking.
Well, I know Zach has done a lot of work on this. If you're a truckload carrier and you've got a fuel surcharge, you can push that fuel increase in fuel right onto the shipper. But that's not 100% of all miles. Certainly, if you've got any deadhead miles, there's no fuel surcharge attached to that. If an independent owner operator books a rate, then that rate has to account for the rise in diesel prices. So it has to. I shouldn't say the fall, whatever. Diesel has to be in that rate for that lane to be profitable. So it's easy to say, well, it's just a fuel surcharge. It gets passed on to the shippers, but not every mile that's out on the road there is getting done by a fuel surcharge. So he's right in that be a combination of deadhead miles plus a combination of independent owner operators booking a rate that has to be high enough to justify their fuel costs. Both of them will be an avenue to where the higher price of diesel contributes to higher rates.
So, John, one of the other areas that you kind of put some stories out on was around UK and the extension for the hours of service. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting story. The transportation ministry unilaterally decided last week to increase allowable hours on the road in the UK. Now, this is not really the same thing that goes on in the US. For example, after a hurricane, or or like during COVID, when hours of service rules are relaxed, because over there most of the drivers are employees. So in the US, if hours of service rules are raised, or or lifted, the independent owner operators, their eyes get wide and they think, okay, I can drive a lot more miles, I can make a lot more money. If you're if you're an employee, like say in the UK or in the EU, the feeling here is, okay, I can drive more miles now, and my company's just going to push me and push me and push me. So this was a move that was greeted pretty much unanimously with a negative reaction throughout the UK trucking industry. The people who wanted it are the shippers, because they were having problems getting capacity in the same way over there as is over here, and they thought that by allowing the hours of service to rise, that might ease that. It's a complicated move they did. I didn't fully understand it. The limit per day went from 9 to 10, but then there's a whole complicated series of other mileage hours restrictions, like over 2 weeks, which I certainly could not review here off the top of my head. But one thing that they're dealing with over there that we're not dealing with here is the fact that when Brexit hit, a lot of people who were from other countries who were in the UK driving, they had already gone home at the time of the pandemic hit, and now they can't come back. So they've got a particularly unique set of circumstances over in the UK. I have not seen any stories about moves in the EU, where certainly labor can move more freely across borders. The whole point of Brexit is that they didn't want labor to move freely across borders. So this is one of the reasons that they're having a very unique problem. This move by the UK Department of Transport only goes until August. It's a 1 month lifting, but we'll see what happens after that.
Is the freight market over in the United Kingdom as tight as it is here in the United States? And is that kind of why they're pushing for this? Or is it just like you said, that overall labor shortage?
Yeah, the push for it came from shippers. There was one large supermarket chain in particular that had been pushing the Department of Transportation to make this move. So yeah, they've got the same problems there as here.
So, John, I have to wonder, when we're seeing things like that, it's going to be a piecemeal solution. I mean, you kind of said they're looking at a unique problem there in the UK. Do you see any type of overlap of anything that could be kind of similar that would kind of roll out here in the US?
You know, it seems to me that FIMSA does pretty easily relax hours of service rules for incidents, storms, the pandemic, um, that sort of thing. Are we going to get a broad lifting of hours of service rules from FIMSA now, just to deal with tight markets? No, we're not. It needs to go through a whole rulemaking process. As you know, FIMSA last year, or I'm trying to think when these rules went into effect. Yeah, last year did put into effect some easing of some of the hours of service rules, and that is supposed to add capacity. But that was a lengthy process. They can do things over there a lot quicker than can get done over here. We're a little more of a rule of law operation with less power in the hands of the government. So that kind of unilateral, okay, we're just going to ease hours of service rules for a month or 2 months because things are tight. No, that's not going to happen here. I mean, you want to do something like that. I mean, you look, they did take the pandemic and they raised hours of service, and that went on for months and months and months. But that's really a once in a lifetime thing. We hope it's once in a lifetime. So no, I don't see anything similar in the U.S. coming up.
John, talk to us a little bit about what you're working on coming up the next week as far as stories go.
Well, I'm working on a story today about a move in Minneapolis to ban truck parking overnight in the entire city. Now, you can imagine. Look, we know the parking problems nationally. We know that drivers are always looking for a place to park. Here, you're talking about one of America's biggest cities that was going to ban all truck parking overnight. Period. End. That move has kind of fizzled. It got kicked back to committee. One of the reasons I talked to the head of the Minnesota Trucking Association last week, and one of the reasons is that, as we know, Minneapolis is the home of a very large community of what he referred to as East Africans, Specifically, we know there's a huge Somali community in Minneapolis, and a lot of those people are truck drivers, and they needed a place to put their rig. So, the first reaction was, yeah, trucks are bad. They're parking. They're idling their engines. It's bad, bad, bad. And then they started to deal with the human aspect of it, which these are people who are making their living this. What are they going to do otherwise? So right now, this rush to ban parking in Minneapolis seems to have fizzled out. There's going to be a committee hearing this week on it, but what looked like a fast rush to do something like this looks now like it's probably not going to happen.
Amazing, John. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's our very own John Kingston. If you haven't already, check out his podcast, Drilling Deep.